Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today, we got Brandon,
Hey,
and we were talking about games and things.
games and things.
What's on the agenda? Actually, nothing really new this week, I don't think.
No,
Well, I don't
no,
know what
no.
Eek is, though. Is Eek new?
Eek 3 is new.
Okay, well, that's the only new
It's
thing.
an event. I guess I'll share that. I'll talk about that to begin with, right?
Okay, sure.
All right, so Eek 3 is a thing by Moya Horror. It is an event they tend to do every year where they
Mhm.
get a bunch of horror and like retro styled indie games together,
Mm-hmm.
and they do like a fake E3 presentation showing
Okay.
off all these indie titles and whatnot and everything. But they also have like a storyline, so it's similar to like Devolver Digital, you know how
Mm-hmm.
how they have their storylines baked into it, but it's
Yeah.
all done entirely in like Blender and done with like retro PS1 graphic style where like there's a talking skeleton host and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's just really fun. It's like a little 2-hour event where they just show off a shit ton of new and upcoming indie games. They may be releasing on Steam or itch.io, or they may be coming to consoles or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fun to watch. So I watched the entire event, but the thing that normally caps off every event is they do a PlayStation 1 style demo disc that they
Okay, that's
release
cool.
online that you can download for free, and a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of the games from the event that you just watched will have demos that you can already play. And that's something that makes this event like really cool. They've done this for quite a few years now. Last year they had a problem with their computer, so they missed last year. So last year's just released like a few days ago, and I
Okay.
watched the whole thing live. It was really fun. And I played a few. I think I've only played like 2 of the games so far that were on
Mm-hmm.
the demo disc. There are 24, so
Okay.
it's a decent chunk of games on said demo disc.
Okay,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I played those. Yeah, and I also have like a list of all the games because they're very smart. Whenever they do this, they have like a list of the people that made the games, their socials, what the games are, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, so that you can go and look them up and follow them and watch as the game progresses over time. I think this is a really cool event. It's one I watch, like I said, every single year. It's a really fun way to like see both horror games and non-horror games now because they're getting away from just specifically horror games,
Mm-hmm.
and they're having other things now as well. And yeah, it's been really fucking cool. So when you actually boot up the demo disc, it is shown off to you like almost exactly like those old PlayStation 1 Underground demo disc, which is
Uh-huh.
really fucking cool. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna read off a few of the games that were on said demo disc, and I played 2 of them. That's why I just wrote Eek 3 in here because I did play 2 of them. The games
Okay.
I played are called Trip and Children of Saturn. Um, Here are a few of the other games that they have there. Uh, Aether Singularity, uh, Angeline Error, AXYZ, Forklift Flower Pot, Last Time I Saw You, Prison of Husk, Scissors in Hell, Tricky's Tower, Tori Saturn, Blessed Burden, Death and Abyss, Eclipsium, Friend Shapes, The Hungry Fly, Juice, The Lacerator, No Strings Attached, and No Players Online. Sorrow, Spirit Walker, Subversive Memories. And I really wish I knew what this last one was, but it's done where the entire game looks like a GeoCities website exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, 360 no scopes, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. It's like Hitman, but it's like done like it was made on a GeoCities website because of how ridiculous it is. It looks like old MySpace profiles, and it sounds like them too. It's the easiest way I can explain it, but it's, oh my god, what is this called? 500 cal contract I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's really cool though. But anyway, yeah, so there's 24 demos, and when like you open up the little demo disc thing, it does open up with like a the ending sort of thing that happened in Eek 3, the video, like the conference thing, the quote unquote conference. Um So it does a little storyline. It expands on that storyline a little bit, and then you have the demo disc get created, and then you have like where you can go through all the different things and choose each individual demo that you want to play. So I played Trip, and I played Children of Saturn.
Okay.
Trip was really cool. Trip is a game where you are on a train, and the train is stuck in a time loop. So think PT, but on a train.
Okay.
But there's ways that you can break the time loop, and the entire purpose of the game is finding a way to break said time loop and to be able to continue on to the next train car, so that you're not just reliving that same train car over and over and over again as you try to go through the train. It's really neat. It's very interesting. There's like little things that you can do that tend to like give you hints. Like there's people that are on passengers on the train. It's called Trip because it's very trippy. It's very weird looking, but it's also called Trip because you're on a trip, but you're on a trip where you're stuck in a time loop and you're never reaching your destination. And I guess the main point is to figure out why this is happening. And it's really cool. It's very abstract. It's very weird. It kind of looks like you're talking with Muppets or something, or it's closer to something like well, it doesn't matter. It's like you're talking with very weird abstract like people, and some of them are doing things. So like some will talk to you and be like, hey, I'm exercising, and it's like on a train. He's like, yeah, have you ever seen a man bring his treadmill on the train ride? And it's just weird stuff like that. The guy's literally running on a treadmill inside the train. But as you talk to more people and whatnot, they will give you little hints, or the conversations with them will lead to something where you like are able to kind of figure out, okay, there's got to be some way to break this loop. How can I do that? And you can go based off their hints and figure out how to break the loop. For instance, there was like one time where I went through the train car and someone was in the bathroom and I could not get in the bathroom, and they said that the mirror looked weird and it didn't look like a normal mirror. Essentially, it looked like they were looking into something different, and they were like freaking out in the bathroom. So when you go through the next loop and you're able to actually go on to the next one, that bathroom is open up and you can go inside of it and you can look in the mirror, and when you look in the mirror you'll actually see like a button in the top left hand corner of the mirror, but that's not part of the mirror, and it's also not part of the room you're inside of. But if you like press the wall where that button should be, then you can break the loop in that loop, because it'll open up the actual door you're supposed to go through to be able to exit out of that room.
Okay.
And it's little like puzzly, like brain teaser things like that, and it's very different and weird, and I quite enjoyed my time with it, and I'm really looking forward to this one because it's kind of right up my alley. It's the kind of weird shit that I love.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
And then like I said, I played Children of Saturn.
Okay.
Which is very odd that that this one was on the demo disc, and that it just happened to release around the same time as the fires that are going on in California, because essentially it's almost like you are growing up in California as a kid, and it's kind of like a coming of age tale, it seems like. Going through your rebellish. Wow, I can't speak. Sorry. Your rebel teenage phase,
Okay.
that sort of thing. Yeah, rebellious. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you. Why could I not get that word out? But it doesn't matter. So your dad's doing things like subtly dropping hints that you need to get a job and get out of his place and everything. It's got several of those sort of moments in it. It feels a bit like a Life is Strange, and a little bit like something like you would see in Stranger Things, where you're like hanging out with your friends, but you're hanging out with your friends consists of your friend asking you where you put the weed that they're looking for and everything, and you have little hiding spots and you have to find it. It seems kind of walking simish, but it also has that very distinct tone to it where it looks like it's recorded on a camcorder when you're playing. It's even in 4:3, and the reason for that is your character is recording all of their time as like a teenager growing up on a camcorder that they found. So the game is the recording that was taken on that camcorder. So it's interesting. You've got like skating, you've got the part like I told you about, like, finding the weed where it was hidden, that sort of stuff. Talking about different relationships with people and whatnot, but also you're living in the city that is like constantly having something happen to it, and we're not exactly sure what. We saw some flashes of like fires and shit like that, and the sky is like orange, but like it's very abstract in a way where it feels normal, but it feels like something's just not quite right. Like something's a little off, and I don't quite know what it is. And I don't have enough info from the demo to tell what that particular thing is. But the developer did actually reach out to me after playing this game, because I took a screenshot from it and I like shared it online. And then the developer reached out to me because apparently it's like there's a part in the demo where you can write whatever you want on this billboard, because again, you're being a rebellious. I can't do it. I can't speak today. I'm sorry. You're being a rebel. You're being a team. You're being yeah, whatever. Rabble, or
Rabble.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Rebellious. You're being a rebellious teenager, and you are spray painting on a upcoming billboard that no one has bought yet. And you're doing like some graffiti, vandalism, that sort of thing. And I drew a picture of pants, and I wrote "eat pant" on it. And I took a screenshot of it, but I took a screenshot of it from a later part in the game, because later on in the game you can look out through this like fence, and when you like look through the fence hole, you could see the billboard that you graffitied off in the background. And I took like a picture of that, because like the things you seem to be interacting with has some effect on the world around you, where you will see it later on in different parts, and you're kind of hopping back and forth through all these little memories, like these little snippet memory things. And I don't exactly understand what's going on, but it feels like there's like wildfires and shit like that that's going on. But it also feels like there's something more to it that I don't quite know yet, and I haven't got all the information I need. It is a very interesting game though, and again, this is like one of those games that is like right up my alley. I really like this. There was a game a few years back that I played called Umurangi Generation, which was also another rebellious kind of game, fighting the man, fighting corruption, that sort of deal. But it was more like Pokemon Snap, but with corrupt people and that sort of deal. And I really liked that game, and this game gave me that vibe a lot. And I liked that, because I do like games that are just something's a little off, but you don't quite know what it is yet. And that kind of intrigued me enough that I really do want to play like the full version of that game. And that's essentially the only two that I have played so far. I've wanted to go back, because obviously there are quite a few other games that I'm interested in playing, but we're not there yet. So when I look at the demo page for Children of Saturn, which I'm going to link to you, it says it's a coming-age story about a group of teenagers growing up under an orange sky. That's what you got. That's all you got. That's all the information they give you. And it feels really interesting. Like I'm excited to play more of this game. This game seems really fucking cool. So that's one that I'm going to be looking out for as well. Both Trip and Children of Saturn are two games that are on my like radar now after playing those demos. And so I'm really hoping when I like check out the other games, they'll be the same way. Like I have looked at Scissors in Hell for a while now. Another super abstract horror-ish game. I kind of like it. I've played the other Tori games. Those are mascot platformers, but there's something wrong with them. They're kind of horror games, but kind of not. It's more like something's just a little bit off, but it's designed to feel like, old PlayStation 1 platformers, old Sega Saturn platformers, that sort of deal. And it does feel like that, but it's just something ain't quite right, and you don't really know exactly what it is. But as you play the game, more and more weird shit starts to happen. And this is the fourth one in this series, I believe. So So I'll be looking into that one automatically. I already know that. Like I also mentioned, 50 caliber Hitman Contractor. I believe that's what it's called. That game is really fucking weird. It's designed in the most odd way possible.
Mhm.
I will. I'm literally going to show you right now in chat what it looks like. Like it is weird. But it is Hitman. But it's designed like you would see on someone's fucking MySpace page or a
Okay.
GeoCities website.
Yeah, very strange.
So, yeah, but it is a lot like Hitman, where you could do like all these crazy flips and tricks, and it seems like it's like Hitman mixed with like Tony Hawk, mixed with like a bunch of different things. It's
Okay.
just kind of cool, but it's also very, very weird, and that's kind of the entire thing of EEK3. You're gonna see a lot of really different out there games that you don't necessarily see or wouldn't see on other showcases. So, for instance, again, Death and Abyss is a game that has a demo as well, and that game it looks like Star Fox. It kind of plays like Star Fox, but I believe you're like fighting some ancient like space alien or some shit, if I'm not mistaken. Very odd, a very, very odd one. And when I say like odd, it's the way it's designed that's odd more so than anything. So yeah, Death and Abyss. I've actually had my eye on that one for a while as well. I have not played its demo yet. I need to. I need to get around to that. I'll probably talk about that like next week or something. Let me read the information though. Death and Abyss is an intense flight shooter that challenges you to utilize your maneuverability and explosive firepower to survive against deep sea hostiles. Okay. In your descent, the nightmares can only get worse. That is what this is. I thought it was space. I was wrong. This is fucking weird. It's even weirder because it does look like, again, it looks like Star Fox in space, but apparently this is like a deep sea game. So that's kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah, this one looks good. This one's I've been looking into for quite a bit. I think I originally saw this on like Twitter. Like someone was, a, there's a there's a group I follow on Twitter where essentially weekly they ask people to share their games that are works in progress, and sometimes, a lot of the time, people have shared games that have ended up actually coming out or shown up in like conferences or like little indie things, like for instance EEK3 this time, and this is one of those games. So
Yeah, it does look very Star Fox-esque.
there was another one that seemed very interesting. I gotta remember what it's called. It's like greatest. Oh yeah, remake of the end of the greatest RPG of all time. All right, this game's interesting. All right, so this one showed up, and it's an RPG game, but it's like a remake of an RPG game that's supposed to be like, incredible. But this game that it's a remake of doesn't exist. Like,
Okay.
period. It never existed. That's only part of the in-game lore, that this is a remake of that game. And it's like an existential horror and dread game. Essentially, you are playing a remake of a game that in real life does not exist, but in the game story does exist. And you'll see like the behind the scenes of like the developers and all the shit they had to go through to try to get this game out on time. And it seems really interesting the way it is. So like you play the game, but you also see how the developers that made the game, at least in the story of the game, all the shit they had to go through to try to get this just right. And like the trailer showed some really cool shit where, like, again, you got some of the corrupt stuff like you would see in Inscription, for instance. You had like that element of it. So it feels like Inscription, but the horror aspect is existential dread more so than like, something supernatural, perhaps. But I also saw like elements where like there are glitches in the game, and those glitches seem to do really weird things. And then you would cut to like footage that's from the developers, and the developers are like, I don't know what this glitch is. It wasn't in yesterday. So there might be more to this game than what it's letting on, but it looks like it's going to be a wild ride. This game looks really good.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another one that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. Yeah, and like I said, there's well over what is it? There were well over 72 games shown. So Moya MOYA horror.com is where you can see all the information on EEK3. And then if you want to watch the 2-hour video, you can watch the 2-hour video. And if you don't want to watch the 2-hour video, you can click the see all the games that are listed, which is in the top right hand corner. And then you can look at all the different games and see all the socials of everyone that's working on said games, and follow if any of them look interesting to you. That's essentially what I would recommend. On top of that, you can also at the very, very bottom download the demo if you have a PC and play the actual demo disc for yourself if you want. So yeah, really cool, super interesting event that I watch whenever it comes out. I think they said because of all the issues and everything and how much work they had to put into this one, this will probably be the last one for a while, because this is just pretty much a handful of people do this. 10 people put this together. That's it. And there's no real funding or anything. They just all do it on their own dime, and because they want to show off indie titles that look interesting to people and give them a platform to be at. I like that. I like that a lot. So there you go. That's my take on that. It's really cool. I don't know. Any questions about this or any thoughts on it after seeing what it is now?
No, I said it's a very cool thing. You probably didn't hear it, but I said that it makes a lot of sense that it's a lot, because I think they have more than 70 games listed on their website for the thing. So definitely a big undertaking for them to do. So I can understand why they need to step back a little bit, because that's a lot just for.
Well, they're also a game developer themselves. They want to get their game out that they've been developing for a while before they continue, is basically what they said.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, no, it sounds really cool. So I was to see, I guess, kind of as these things kind of come out.
Yep. I'm going to be keeping an eye on all of these. Well, all the ones that interest me. And I'm going to play more of the demo disc stuff probably over this week. Again, I'm trying to hammer out the next game, which I'm going to talk about, which I'm just going to hop right on into. I'm trying to hammer out Metaphor. I'm really enjoying this game. I think this game's fantastic. I'm very glad I ended up picking it up. I did want to play it because so many people were saying this is their game of the year, that sort of deal. So I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. And I understand. There's one thing I actually want to say about this game real quick. And I don't want this to be taken as a negative, because the way it's done in this game, it's not a negative, because it feels authentic. And I will just say, Metaphor is a really, really woke game. Very much so.
I mean, Persona was a very woke game too.
Yeah, so, I think this one's a lot more, because you got a lot of themes of racism and classism and stuff like that, and they're front and center as the main plot points of the game even. But the thing is, like I was trying to say before, I do feel like the writing in this is so good that that's not a negative. You know what I mean? Sometimes some games can force things that don't really fit the actual game's writing, but the writing in this is so good that it fits so well, and it works even better, in my opinion, than a lot of other titles have tried to do.
Okay.
I think this is one of the more interesting titles to talk about, and I am refraining from going too in depth about this game. I'll just say this right now. I'm 37 hours into this. Okay. I'm close to done, but I'm not done yet. I will have it done by next week. I know that for a fact. But I have a lot of thoughts on this game, and there's a lot of things rolling around in my head that I would like to say, but I really need to wait till Game of the Year, if it does make it, because or then I'll say it after Game of the Year if it doesn't make it at the end of the day. But pretty much to talk about this is just spoilers. That's the problem. That's the problem with any JRPG game. I really have to spoil things if I'm going to talk about it. and I don't want to do that just yet. But I do think this game is fucking excellent. I
Mm-hmm.
do also think that it is a big ask to get into this game because I felt like the tutorial was like 7 hours long. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay, that's a long
It
time.
it's a very long time. But during that time, obviously, you are getting like story bits. You are doing this, that, and the other. But in things open up more at the 6-7 hour mark, in my opinion. I do think that's also how long the demo for this game is, and I know that your progress carries over.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Um, I don't know. I want to talk about this game, but I need to wait. That's my main thing. I need to finish this, and I need to wait to talk about it until after I finished it. But right now, it's gone to some really interesting places, and I think the best part of the game is the story. The combat is it's fine and good at points and times, but I do think it's obviously I don't think it's as good as Persona, but like for a new IP, it's doing a lot of things that are Persona adjacent,
Mm-hmm.
but then its combat's a little bit more a little different. Like for instance, you can have like front and back lines in this game. And
Mm-hmm.
front and back lines, you can move each individual character either back or forward. You can spec different characters into different archetypes, as they are called here, and you can change those archetypes at will, just not in the middle of a battle. And when you level up those archetypes far enough, you can actually then take those skills from those archetypes and inherit them in another class. So you can carry over skills from another class after unlocking them. So you can kind of build a class that's an amalgamation of different classes combined, but there's also some equipment that you can equip on your characters that also give you different abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So you can even go further with your class customization by equipping those specific items. However, those specific items tend to be on the lower end, like defense wise, but they do give you like for instance, there's a necklace that I found, and it's lower than the item I currently have as a necklace. However, if I equip it, it means I can cast fire magic that will target every enemy on the field. So it's a little bit of a give and take there because you've got that magic, and like you could be like you could be like a fucking bruiser class, one that like just punches the shit out of people. You can be like a pugilist or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
you could also then cast fire magic because of the item that you're like wearing around your neck,
Mm-hmm.
and you can like mix and match with a bunch of different things like that. I like this. There's some things I don't like, such as I think combat rewards versus what you can lose in combat in some situations makes combat not worth it
Mm-hmm.
more so than not. And if I had to say any one thing, it's the story that has carried this game the entire time. And the
Okay.
story is incredible.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, great game, great game.
Mhm.
Metaphor is awesome. That's my main takeaway from that.
I did see there was a rumor today that it's maybe coming to Switch too, as well.
That's awesome. More
Mm-hmm.
people should play Metaphor. Metaphor is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Echo Point Nova. This is that first-person shooter open world game that I told you about before. I've talked about it
Oh
already
yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
podcast once.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and did some more stuff in it. I've got like a new ability now where I can like freeze fire, like freeze lava, and then
Okay.
like travel on the frozen bits of land on lava. And the area I'm in the game, it's pretty much essential because I can no longer like grapple from place to place unless that place I'm grappling is frozen. Because if it's lava, my grappling thing will not connect. So I have to like kind of time everything correctly to be able to grapple from point to point to point to point right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I've also got like a whole bunch of different abilities I've pretty much bought out the store when it comes to abilities. As you level up in this game, you are able to get perks, and those perks are you're able to equip them based on like a little number you have. So as you go further in the game and as you level up yourself more in the game, you're able to equip more perks. And I've pretty much got every perk that I've unlocked right now equipped at this moment in time. And the game can be crazy because I have like 25 different perks on. So I've got like the ability to like grapple to enemies and then also attack them when if my grapple lands. I've got the ability to slide into enemies using my hoverboard, and if I hit them with my hoverboard, then I'm able to regain health. I've got just a whole bunch of shit. But like the game is actually in crazy mode right now. I'm fighting a giant mech inside of a volcano, and I have to travel to different individual points inside this it looks like a lizard or a scorpion mech.
Okay.
And it's like this ship that I have to go from point to point and destroy the weak points so that I can blow up the entire ship. And it's a boss fight, but it's a boss fight where you have to go inside the boss. So it's got like some of that Shadow of the Colossus feel to it, but as a first person shooter.
Okay.
I'm really, really enjoying this game. I think this game's incredibly good. I don't know if this has been put on console. I don't know how well this game would translate to console because like it's super Twitch shooter. It's like, think like Quake, Quake 3 Arena. Think like, Doom Eternal, which did translate to console, but like it's more ridiculous than that. I think is the best way to explain it. And I think this game's also really, really good. And I'm hoping to also finish this one before we get around to the game of the year. I think I'm almost done with Echo Point Nova. Like, not almost done as in I've got 15 more hours like I do with Metaphor, but maybe like 3 or 4 more hours in this one. So I do think all the games that I wanted to finish and play, I will have finished and played when we get to Game of the Year next week. So
it's a good goal.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that's only on PC, as far as I can
tell. Okay. Well, I mean, it's only on PC right now. It might be in the future. Like, this game did just release. It released it in September of 2024.
Correct.
So, like, this is a very newish game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still very early to maybe see a port. So, yeah.
Maybe in the future. Maybe on the Switch, too.
Could be. Definitely a possibility. Possibilities.
All right, what you got for me?
All right. I got a couple things to play through, actually, or to talk about, actually.
What you playing through?
Well, finished Mario and Luigi Brothership. Done. Done. I will say, despite my frustrations the last 2 times I talked about it, the last hour or so actually was like maybe the best part of the entire fucking game. Which, granted, I think I got up to like 50 hours in it, so I don't think that kind of like, necessarily negates the frustrations I had recently, but I still think it's overall a very solid game. The last like hour or so, without spoiling exactly what happened, just had like a really kind of cool story twist that kind of went pseudo horror related.
Okay.
Very kind of surprising. It was like, at first I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then as you start to see it make sense, you're like, oh, and then it kind of gets like creepy and kind of like they do some stuff with the music, and it actually has the best music of the entire game. Like it's very like, it's weird. It's like it was all building up to this. This game, like I said, overall very good. I definitely don't agree with IGN's 5 out of 10. But I'd probably put it solidly as like probably like a 7 or an 8, somewhere in that range. So very good, just very long. It really could use like a huge dose of scissors to its content. Like it's too much sometimes. So it overdoes it. So overstays its welcome. But like I said, that kind of ending part was just nice. It was really refreshing. I enjoyed that last kind of the last like story bit, and the final battle actually was really fun too. So I did enjoy that bit. It obviously just has some slow sections that really should have been hammered out a little bit better. So that was all I had to say about it. I've been talking about that game for way too long, so I don't think there's anything else extra to say. Um, Next game I've been playing, I started and finished a game, although there's not a lot to say there. It's topically relevant this week, but it will not get followed up on for weeks because of Game of the Year. So I played Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Okay.
I was like, well, let me play this before Donkey Kong Returns because it's been so freaking long. Um, so I played through that, and I started to go through. I've realized this that with platformers, I tend to, and I don't do this with every game, so I don't know why it's platformers specifically, but with platformers, I tend to get in my mind like obsessive about like getting everything and unlocking everything, even if I've played through it before. So I started out that way, and I'm like, it's taking me way too long to get through this, and I'm like, I really want this game to be like done before Returns comes out on Thursday. So I was like, nope. I'm pulling it back. I'm like, just the bare minimum. Like, let's just get through the levels and just go from start to end and just just play through like just a normal playthrough, like a normal person would.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I forget how challenging that game is. I think in my mind, like I actually write it off as like an easier version of Donkey Kong Country compared
Hmm.
to the ones made by Rare. And I don't think that's the case. I actually think it's a harder one overall. Its boss battles are definitely harder than anything that you get on from the Super Nintendo from Rare. It has some really challenging boss battles, and the last one in this too is quite. Even I was like I'm like, is this ever going to end? Like it just keeps going on, and just some of the levels too. It just kind of yeah. I just got to like sections where I just like die, die, die.
Damn.
And some of it's just the unpredictability of it, but
Yeah.
it does a really good job of making sure you have enough lives. Like I never was like in risk of running out of lives. I always had about 50 at any given time. But it's just sometimes you get to a level, you'll hemorrhage like 10, and then you'll get back and catch them all back up again. So there's that. It does platform really well. I think that's really good. I think some of the secrets are fun, but a lot of my complaints with this game are just there's not a lot of variety in areas that you would like it to have variety. Like some of the mini games like they're always go to a room with lots of bananas, collect all the bananas, and get a puzzle piece. Like that's always what happens. Back in the day with Super Nintendo, like those things that Rare would put in there, they just had a lot of variety. Sometimes they would be something similar to what I just described, but
Hmm.
then they would have ones where they'd be like, beat all the enemies, or uh, which thing has the hidden thing in it, like a kind of like a moving container kind of
Hmm.
game. I mean, you played through classic Donkey Kong Country, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
those games have a lot of nice variety there, and that's just not here. I think the art style holds up well with this game, though. I think it's a nice looking game. Um, I do have some issues with the controls, but I don't know if there's actually a way to make them better. Um, just because like some of it has I mean, with the four face buttons on the controller, it just uses two and two is the same, and then you use the R button for like the holding and stuff. There's no way to change that. It's just kind of, I mean, you could swap them, but it doesn't change it. Like you're still using three buttons that are or you're still using either A or B for one thing, Y or X for one thing, and then the R buttons for another thing.
Okay.
So I wish there was kind of a way to maybe to set them all with the face buttons, but I don't even know if it's practical. I just was like, I don't like reaching up there all the time for that other one. But it plays well. I still think it plays really well. Like I said, the challenges are really nice. The music's really good, and I knew that with David Weiss being the composer, but just kind of hearing some of the tracks again just kind of makes me realize I'm like, oh, I kind of underappreciate the soundtrack here because it does have
Mm.
like a really nice, chill kind of soundtrack. I really like the enemy design that they've done with both of these Donkey Kong like re reimaginings, Tropical Freeze and Returns. With like I don't know what the tribe's called in this one, but it's like all the penguins and stuff, like all the polar animals. And then you have like what it's a Tiki tribe or whatever with Returns, which is coming out. So there's one level too with this. I waited for this whole game, and I'm like, "Where's that fucking level I really hate?" And it wasn't here. I think it's from Returns because I did not see it. So,
Uh-oh.
yeah. So I got that to look forward to.
Yeah,
So
you
we'll
do.
catch back around with that one. Um, but otherwise, yeah, just it was just kind of a nice quick game to just get ready for Donkey Kong Country Returns, just so I could compare it to it again, just because it'd been I've played through Tropical Freeze. This was my third time.
Okay.
So I played it once when it came out on the Wii U, and then I 100%ed it then. And I played it once again on the Switch when it came out, and I 100%ed it again. So this was just me, just kind of being like, okay, let's just have a refresher course on it. So yeah, that was it. That's really all I have to say about it. And the last one I'm just gonna throw out here now. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's just kind of more. This is my New Year's gaming resolution, I guess.
Okay.
Um, I've decided that I'm going to play through all the Prime games that exist before Prime 4 comes out this year.
Mm,
So I restarted Prime 1 yesterday night.
mm.
So I don't really have too much to say about it other than it looks like a nice game still. Although the one thing that would kind of really boggled my mind, my brain had the hardest time wrapping my head around the controller settings for this one this time.
Oh
Uh,
shit.
uh, yeah, and it was I didn't have a problem with it last time. It was just this time, and there's something in my mind that's just not connecting with the controls right now. Uh, so I'm sure as I play more, I'll get through. I got through the initial like prologue area on the space station, got down to Talon 4, and made it to the first boss. So I really have not done that much. But I keep on, for whatever reason, my brain is in Wii mode, and I keep trying
Okay.
to blast everything with the trigger, which is not how it is on the Switch unless you go into full pointer controls, which I didn't want to do.
Mm,
So I was using the hybrid controls, and then in that case, the R button is really just used for aiming, kind of like how it was on the GameCube. But it also has the gyro controls with it. So yeah, so I'm working through that right now. And we'll see. I like I said, I'm sure it's just really just more of a matter of time, and just mine was not in the right place. Probably especially after Donkey Kong, because I was just saying like the game was really R button heavy, and that was really frustrating for me. So now that I'm in a game that's not as R button heavy, I'm just kind of like, why are you not doing what I want you to do? So look at that.
Hey, so I had something to bring up also,
Yeah.
actually, now that you mentioned like New Year's game resolution and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
This isn't a New Year's game resolution, but I tried to do like a stream or something fun every year for my birthday and have a lot of friends on and yada 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 blah blah blah.
Hmm.
This year I'm doing Halo. I'm doing all of it.
Oh, very fun.
At least the first three, like in a row.
Okay.
Probably campaigns, because I feel like everything after that is not as good. I might
Are
do
you
Reach
gonna skip
also.
odds?
Huh?
You're gonna skip odds?
Skip odds. Oh, ODST. Oh shit. Okay, I think I'm gonna add Reach and ODST in there.
Okay.
No, I love ODST. I wasn't even thinking about it.
I know, I was
Oh
surprised because you and
shit.
Nick were just talking about the other week, and I was like, I know you guys are both really like it. So I'm like, I'm
I do.
surprised if you're doing 1 through 3, you're gonna skip the game that takes place right inside there.
Huh.
So mhm.
Do I own ODST? Let me check.
I mean, if you got Master Collection, you do. Would you?
So you could buy it separately on Steam.
Okay.
You can
It's
buy
not
each.
included with Steam.
What?
It's not included with the Steam version.
So if you're cheap, when it's on sale, you can buy each version of Halo for like $3,
Uh-huh.
which is what I did. So
Okay.
I
So
don't
you
know
don't
if
have
I
it's not
actually.
the Master Collection.
It is the Master Chief Collection, but they are considered DLCs for each individual Halo game. So
Oh, they let you do it a la carte.
yeah, so you can do it a la carte, which was like $60 at the time or
Hmm.
something like that. Or you could buy it individually, which I've done over the years, and I don't know if I got that one. So like right now, a la carte, if you buy the entire thing, it's $30.
Hmm.
I think I have all the DLC. I'm looking right now. Actually, you know what? I may not own Halo 4, but Halo 4 sucks. So here's the price breakdown. So Halo Reach is $9.99. This is not on sale. Halo
Hmm.
Combat Evolved is $9.99, not on sale. 2 $9.99, not on sale. 3 $9.99 when not on sale. 3 ODST is $4.99, and then 4 is $9.99. Normally when they're on sale, they're like $2.50 or $5 a piece.
Yeah, it's
So
reasonable.
I picked up these when they were like $2.50 each
Hmm.
over the years, essentially, and then I'd play through like one or what have you, and then pick up another one later on when there's like another sale or something. Because every like week, you when I'm playing CS, you get drops just for playing the game, and I normally could sell those drops for like $1, $2 a piece, like each week. So like I'd take that money and I would buy individual versions of Halo. Because like I own the Master Chief Collection on Xbox, but I
Hmm.
don't I didn't on PC, and now looking at it, the only one I'm missing on PC is Halo 4. I have every other one, so I think I'm going to play through all the ones I own, which is Reach, Combat Evolved, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, and Halo 3 ODST. So
Okay.
there's that.
Sounds like a good plan.
I love Halo. I've always loved Halo. Halo and me, we go way back. It's been a big part of my life. It was the first game I played competitively. Yeah, I love this. I love the series. So I'm thinking for my birthday, I'm going to just play through all of them on Legendary with some friends, and it'll be really fun.
This is a good plan. Do I have anything else to talk about? No. Nope, I do not. Just really think about all the shit that's coming out this year. I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, we're on the precipice of just like shit flying out the. This is going to be a record year.
There's the fucking Switch 2 rumor that it's being announced in like a few days.
Yeah. So that's we'll go jump right into that, I guess. So yeah, there is so the rumor right now, and it's being parroted by everyone and their mother, is that the Switch 2 hardware will be revealed this week. So specifically on Thursday with an announcement, or Thursday
16th.
Yes. Yeah, with an announcement tomorrow. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. No, I got confused because some places have been saying the 17th.
Yeah.
Which I did see a very someone was like, that probably just means that it doesn't mean that someone's telling a lie. It's just it's time.
Fan time? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's probably just it's gonna be an afternoon announcement for the US, which means it will be a 17th announcement for like Japan. It's kind of what they were saying. So makes sense. I have the most recent kind of rumor timeline that I have seen says that this will be hardware focused, like they're going to focus specifically on the hardware with whatever this is, and not software. There'll be a software event later, and then the system itself will release in like May or June. If you think about it, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's like the same kind of high like timeline as the Switch announcement. So Switch was announced in October, and then like what was it? 3 months later, they had the unveiling of like the games, like that big like blowout that they had. And then like 2 or 3 months after that was the release. And that's I honestly think that's exactly what they're going to do this time. I don't think it's that we're not going to see software. I think what they're going to do is they're going to do exactly what they did with the Switch. If you look at that video where they showed it off for the first time, they show software on the screens. Like you can see them playing like Breath of the Wild and Elder Scrolls, and I don't remember what else was in there, but you could see some of the games that are going to be on the system.
It's just not going to be a software focused.
So they'll show things, I imagine, during that like process, but like they're not going to go into depth with it. They might be like, "Hey, this is the new Mario game." Who knows? But they'll be like, "We'll talk about it all later." But yeah, that's my guess. Or they'll just show off things that we know will be on there, like Prime 4, probably. Might be a good example of something like that. That might be cross-gen. That would make sense.
All right, question.
So, yeah.
Are you buying it day one?
Oh yeah, of course I am. No question.
How much do you think it'll be?
My money is somewhere in like I think the max price is $399.99.
That's what I think so too. I think they're going to be. I think it's closer to $350 for the actual price, but I think the max will be, $399.99.
I was watching an interesting video yesterday. You may have. I don't know. Do you know who Kit and Krista are?
No, not at all.
Okay. So Kit and Krista, they used to work for Nintendo. They did those Nintendo Minute videos, if you remember those.
Yeah, I do.
Remember what they were. But yeah, so they did those for years and years and years. And they recently left Nintendo a couple of years ago because Nintendo was looking to relocate them, and they're like, no, we don't want to relocate, so we're just going to stay where we are. But since then, they started doing like a podcast or like videos on YouTube or whatever they do. I don't know. But anyway, so they put out like a brief video yesterday, kind of talking about like the behind the scenes, like from their experience of like system launches and kind of what goes into it. And they were kind of like, yep, this rumor seems legit. Like there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes in terms of timing announcements. and they're like, we've already kind of gone through the schedule, of like the recent weeks, and we're like, yep, this seems like a bad week, this seems like a good week, and they're like, this is one week in January where we kind of like eyeballed it as this is a good week for announcements. It seems like a place that they would do it, and they were like, that's kind of it seems very likely that that's what's going to do. And they also kind of broke down that kind of breakdown rumor that I just kind of said, and they're like, yep, that seems totally Nintendo's playbook, just kind of the way that they're doing. They're like, and they also can say like, they're like, how they word it, basically saying that they think that Nintendo's probably being overly cautious with this launch, because they're so concerned about the misconception, similar to the Wii U, that it's like gonna be like it's not a different system, it's something new, that they're like, they want to make sure that it's is really well communicated kind of what's going on here. So they're like, that all kind of seems in line with their plans. But the other thing where I was kind of going with this, because you just made me think about it, because they talked about price specifically too, and they were like, price is like the last thing that's decided, because they'll wait until just before launch to see if there's any changes in the like the market or the economics, like component prices, shipping changes, anything else that could topically come up, like tariffs, I suppose, that might adjust those prices. So they'll wait until just like basically the last possible minute to kind of lock that in. It's one of the last things that they said gets kind of nailed down.
I see.
But that was all interesting for listeners. If that kind of behind the scenes talk is something you're interested in, it's very informative. It was about 20 minutes long. It's on YouTube. But they kind of talk about a lot of the stuff that I was just talking about and kind of their thoughts on those rumors that are coming up. For what it's worth, just even from the rumors that I've been reading through, I have no reason to disbelieve it. Sometimes you look at rumors and you're like, this is bullshit. But this one, it seems like it's probably reasonable. Even the rumors even seem to say they're like, I'm seeing this these days from multiple continents. Like, it's not even just the US sources. They're like, I'm hearing it from Europe, I'm hearing it from Asia, I'm hearing it from the US. Everyone seems all kind of triangulated on this day, so it seems very likely.
Okay, so question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the so far leaked games, supposedly, for the Switch 2?
You talking about the third-party games?
Yeah, like Elden Ring, potentially Halo. Fuck, what was the other ones? My brain's not working.
Metaphor
Give me a second.
was there. Tekken 6 was there.
Yeah. Tekken 8. We're on 8. We're on 8 right now.
Oh, whichever Tekken it was. Yeah, that was on there. I mean, I'll be honest, like, it just seemed like typical like third-party launch stuff. Like, it doesn't really strike me as anything like.
Okay, well, here's the thing, right? I think other than the singular Dark Souls game that released on Switch, there's never been any From Software games on Switch. So Elden Ring's pretty big. And then the other one that stood out to me was, I mean, other than Halo, which has been rumored for a bit now, oh goodness, hold on one second. I'm trying to remember. Because it was one I saw and I was like, oh shit, that's cool. Oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah. All makes sense. Like, honestly, like, I don't know, at least for Nintendo, this I feel like is very typical for third parties. Like, they'll be like, oh, Nintendo's jumping up to a more current gen, let's see what we can port over, because especially with as popular as the Switch has been, like, nobody wants to miss out on that like initial launch period. So they're gonna port over the big stuff that hasn't been on the Switch and see if they get any hits on it. If you remember, like with the Wii U launch, that Wii U, like, as kind of shit on as that system is these days, had actually a pretty decent launch.
It had a really good launch.
Stuff. And it was kind of similar stuff. It was like the most recent Assassin's Creed, the most recent, actually, both Assassin's Creed, supposedly. There's two, Mirage and Shadows, I remember.
I would probably actually get Elden Ring on Switch too.
Yeah, there's a rumor today I saw that speculates that the Switch 2 may have better performance in handheld mode than a Steam Deck. So I mean,
that's impressive if so. I heard that it was docked better than a PS4 Pro.
That I have not read. I've not.
Yeah. That was last week when docked better than a PS4 Pro.
I think with where I am, I'm more conservative on probably where the hardware is going to be. In my mind, I don't think we'll get anything that nice. I think overall it'll probably be more in line with just
So
is for
so I
regular, but
so I think we will, but for one reason. Upscaling. I think they're going to be using stuff like FSR or DLSS in this
oh yeah, I think
console.
that's pretty much all but confirmed at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you have that kind of technology in this console,
hmm
then you can easily reach better heights than a PS4 Pro using that technology. Is it going to be native? No. Is it going to run better? Yes. And that's what I care about the most right there. Does it run at a stable frame rate, and is it serviceable and while it's doing so? If the answer is yes, that's already a win.
Yeah. So hopefully that's what they end up doing with that. So it'll be interesting to see too how they handle backwards compatibility. Like, is it gonna give a boost to old games, or is it just gonna be like, hey, we'll run them, but it's gonna be
God,
identical?
I hope so. Because here's the thing:
hmm
there are several old games I would like to play on
Yeah.
the Switch too that I
hmm
own, like digitally. That's another thing. I want to know what's going to happen to my digital games. Like, are those coming over? Are we? Is that the is? Are we still integrating the Nintendo Store, like the online eShop, into the next Switch? Will those
I think
games
the
carry
rumor is
over?
those things should
Or
carry over. That's my
yeah, because
understanding.
I feel like if
Mhm.
they don't, that's a very big missed opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
Especially since they
Mhm.
kind of sold the Switch for a while, pretty much entirely based off of digital downloads for quite a few games. Being like, yeah, buy this digitally, or like, here's so much off on the digital version. You know what I'm saying?
But I
So,
don't think any worse than any of the other platforms.
no, I don't think so either, but I do think
Mhm.
there were several games that came to the Switch that only came digitally.
Oh
Unless
yeah.
you obviously went out of your way to
Mhm.
like limited run or some dumb shit
Yeah.
like that,
And there's a couple where you buy the game and it'd be like download the rest. Like
Yeah, exactly. So that's the same
Mhm.
fucking thing.
Yeah. Some of them make sense, some of them make no freaking sense. What
Nope.
was the one I just read about the other day that I was just like, it's mind-boggling? I think it was like the Mega Man Legacy Collection.
Yeah, that and the Resident Evil what was it? Revelations collection, where one of them was on a cartridge and the other one was not.
Yeah. At least that one makes a little bit more sense. Like those are at least like, sizable games. Like Mega Man is not.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
yeah, like there's no reason for like it just to be like, oh, sorry, you couldn't fit the second Mega Man game on there. Like, okay. Like what is that? What is that you're trying to save? Like 10 megabytes? Like Jesus. Like stick it all on the same cartridge.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
yeah. And interestingly too, like there are cartridges now. I don't know when they did this. I don't own any. I just have seen it that it exists.
hmm
Like for example with Pikmin 1 and 2. Like if you pop that cartridge in, it actually pops up as two games instead of just one that splits off. Does that make sense how I'm playing?
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that, but that's cool.
Mhm. So that's also possible too, but I don't know. For some reason, not like that with every game, which makes no sense. Um, yeah, and like there's other ones too. Like I think BioShock does the same thing. Again, understandable. BioShock Infinite's like 20 gigabytes alone, and then you have the other two games on top of that. So yeah, makes sense you would have to download one of those. But yeah, I hope that they like streamline that and get that all working.
hmm
So but yeah, at least I imagine that they will bring over the digital games. If they do not, I will be very salty considering I have like over 100 digital games. So yeah, so that would be like my entire collection not playable on the new Switch. And that would just leave me with like Ring Fit Adventure and Labo as my only
Mm-mm-mm.
physical cartridges.
I don't like
Uh,
that.
no, no, not at all. So yeah, but I have no reason to think that they would not. It doesn't make any sense for them not to. So
hmm
trying to think what else. There was something else rumor wise that I thought was interesting there too. Um, there's so much like bullshit rumors like right now too, because you have so many people that are trying to spam like dumb things on top of everything else. So it really will just be it will be nice to have the system revealed just to kind of get out of this section of it.
hmm
Um, although I will be disappointed if they don't talk about software at all with this revealed. Like I would want at least like let me know what your big kind of launch title is. That's what I really want to know.
hmm
Um, and then talk about everything else later. That's fine. Just give me a game to look forward to. Like, what am I going to be really excited about game wise? That's what I want to know. Because really, we don't know anything Nintendo wise. We can assume that Metroid probably will be. We assume that Pokemon Legends maybe, but other than that, we really don't know. So yeah. I don't know. Any other thoughts on the new Switch?
No, I think I'm good. I ain't got nothing else to say about it.
Yeah, no, me either. Anything else to talk about before we wrap up?
Nah.
Okay, let's do it then.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to check out all of our old episodes, they're at game-crunch.com. If you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hello.
any final thoughts?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. That said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
In the night, the screens are glowing, voices whisper, stories flowing. Game of the year, who shall win? Let the guessing games begin. Tensions rise as votes are counting, anticipation all surmounted. Players' dreams on the line, let the reason steep incline. Oh, can you see it? The crown's within your reach. Oh, will you be it? The one they'll talk and preach. Game of the year. The prize is almost here. Game of the year. This moment crystal clear. Behind the scenes, the arguments, streams of data, evidence, critics' marks, score by score, who will stand and roar. Every click, every tap, the weight of every map, hopes and fears entwined as they watch the time. Whispers fill the air around, who will wear the golden crown? Excitement at its peak, with each game critique. Oh, can you see it? The crown's within your reach. Oh, will you be it? The one they'll talk and preach. Game of the year. The prize is almost here. Game of the year. This moment crystal clear. Behind the scenes, the arguments, streams of data, evidence, critics' marks, score by score, who will stand and roar. Roar. In the night, the screens are glowing, voices whisper, stories flowing. Game of the year, who shall win? Let the guessing games begin. Game of the year. This moment crystal clear. Behind the scenes, the arguments, streams of data, evidence, critics' marks, score by score, who will stand and roar.
Speaking of the Game Awards, I realized this last night at some point, and this ship has sailed, and there's no point in going back to it now, but I did realize that by missing talking about the Game Awards, even if we didn't talk about the awards themselves, we didn't talk about any of the announcements.
Sure.
Yeah, and there was some line was like, I'm like, wait, didn't they announce Okami 2 the other day?
They
Like,
sure
it just
did.
just kind of like jumped up in the back of the head. Actually, another thing that's rumored to be ported over to the Switch is Metal Gear Solid Delta. I did see that
Woo!
as well.
That game looks so good.